we are now in 2020. So what's actually the projection of Amazon FBA, specifically private label, in 2020? Amazon was a huge hype, especially in 2016. It was much easier to launch products and rank them to the top. So is that the same case for Amazon in 2020? Or are people making huge mistakes by getting into markets now? Is it just too competitive? Are there too many products? And what's the solution if the markets are very competitive? I'm here to spill all of the details and let you know how maybe you can still be profitable in this business model. So let's get into it. Hey, it's me, Karina, and welcome back to my Amazon FBA channel, where we talk about everything and anything Amazon FBA related. I made this channel so I could help you find profitable products for the most part and just guide you through your Amazon FBA journey. And in order to do that, I've also attached a free Amazon product research guide down below, so don't forget to download that. It's really going to help you with your product research. And that's kind of what we are here to talk about today. Amazon FBA, what's the projection in 2020? And can you still do product research and find profitable products? Now, like I mentioned earlier, Amazon FBA, which was much easier back in the day, even 2, 3, 4 years ago, especially for people who got in when it started evolving. Back in 2006, right? People could just put anything on and anything would sell, and those people now have a really great sales rank history with Amazon, so their products do quite well despite putting in minimal effort. So what's in it for you if you're just a beginner in Amazon FBA, if you don't have any brands, if you're still looking to search? Can you still do products in the USA marketplace? Everyone says that that is the most profitable, and I still do agree with that. It is the most profitable, and it also has the most competition. So that's kind of the downside. So everyone's doing product research in the USA marketplace. Unfortunately, the #1 mistake people are making within this marketplace is that they are jumping ahead of themselves. In Russia, where I'm from, we have an expression. It says, you can't jump higher than your own butt. And that kind of makes sense. And that's what people are doing. They're looking at these markets that are so incredibly competitive. I mean, if you just look at the reviews, if you look at the revenues, logically it doesn't make sense, but I understand where they're coming from. Okay, you're probably here, you want to make money from Amazon FBA, you want to maybe even change your ventures, change whatever you're doing, get some side income for whatever you are doing. And you look at these markets where people are doing extremely well, and you see even like 100K products, even 30K products, and that seems reasonable. It seems like, hey, you know what, I can go and do this and get to the first page and do well. And that's essentially the whole kind of thing of Amazon. If you get to the first page of a market that has enough search volume, you're basically in the clear, because that's when the sales start coming in. So they see these markets and they see these high numbers and they want to get there. But what they don't consider is, how are you going to get there? In order to do that, you have to match the sales velocity of the people on the first page, which means you have to sell as much as they do. That tells Amazon's algorithm that you're doing well, you deserve to be on the top page, so you get up there. So how do you rank, right? You can rank with PPC, which is what I teach, which is with Amazon's advertising platform. That's what I teach to all my students, because it is very low risk. But in order to rank successfully with PPC, you have to also get into markets that are less competitive. You cannot get into markets that have such a high sales velocity, because you can't sell really high with PPC. So you have to kind of find that balance. Another way of getting to the top is by matching the sales with giveaways. Now, the old trick used to be you can do highly discounted giveaways at like 97% off, and you can have a software do that for you, and a lot of people would rank that way. It's almost like you're tricking Amazon, but Amazon gets smarter, and that's why we evolve. And that's why I'm here today, because I'm going to show you the one thing that can actually get you into low competition markets where you can still rank, still get sales, and get to the first page of Amazon with very little money. Okay, so Amazon's smart. Those giveaways don't really work anymore. You have to give them away at full price sales to your own customer database that you have gathered for whatever means. And most people, especially if they're new, they don't have access to that. So what do you do? And let's just take a look, right? Let's get into my computer and take a look at just a random market. I haven't pre-planned this. I'm just gonna search Tupperware, and I have a lot of students, and oops, I misspelled that. And a lot of them, like when I do one-on-one coaching, oh my goodness. In my course, I do not advise anyone to get into these types of markets. So a lot of people come to me from other knowledge bases and whatever, or doing their own research, and that's why I advocate courses so much, because you can save so much mistakes and time and effort by taking a course. It's a step-by-step way, and you avoid making silly mistakes like this. Like, for example, getting into a market that's super oversaturated with high reviews, right? This, let's see, is a commodity, right? So let's just do an analysis on this. I'm using helium-10. So this is what we use to kind of gather all the data. If you haven't used this software before, I do have coupon codes. If you use Karina50, you get 50% off the first month. Karina10 will give you 10% off every single month. So down below. So here we are. If you look at this revenue, who wouldn't mind this? I would not mind an extra $377,000. That's, of course, revenue, that's not profit. But anyways, average profit margins are around 20%. Still not too shabby from this, right? Okay, average. So clearly, this is crazy, right? This is just, there's no way in heck you're going to be a first-time seller or even a beginner, intermediate, even advanced. This is very competitive to get into. You have to know some strategies in order to get here. The review velocity is so high. They just have so many reviews. So this is hard for you. Granted, not all markets are like this. You can still find great markets within the US marketplace, and you should. You just need to do your research. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying don't do the US, but there are other options, okay? There are other options. And Amazon, back when it started taking traction up in the USA, people didn't take it seriously. They thought, whatever, just another site. But those who were smart, they got into the markets in advance. And now they are capitalizing on that because they have a strong sales rank, like I mentioned. So what can you do? Well, you know that Amazon is expanding, okay? Amazon has gone international, and this is so recent. They're in Mexico, they're in Canada, they're in the UK, they're in Germany, they're in Japan, they're in India, they're everywhere. Oh, not everywhere, but they're getting there. They're getting there, okay? And some markets are stronger than others. If you do product research internationally, you'll realize that there is more demand in certain markets, such as the UK and Germany, as opposed to some of the lower ones. But that doesn't apply to all products. So what am I insinuating you to do, okay? Say you are looking for products in the USA and you're having a difficult time and you keep running into these competitive markets with all of this high criteria, and you're thinking, okay, this is kind of getting irritating because everything looks too competitive. And that's kind of like the one thing that students come to me and they say everything looks too competitive, but then it's like you either don't know what to look for or you're not doing enough product research. Because yes, in the USA you can still find profitable products, but what I recommend for you to do as well is take a peek at the international markets. You never know. You can find, literally what I recommend for you to do, take a list of products that you have searched in the US, like whether it's a mental list or you made an actual list of products that you wrote down that you thought were gonna do well, and then let's say the reviews were a little bit too high or something was a little bit off, and maybe like the revenue was too high, maybe the just review count was too high, anything. Take a list of like 10 products that you remembered and just run them by in the UK market, in the Canada market, in the Mexico market, okay? Some of these markets, when you look them up into others, will be less competitive. Let's look at Amazon.Canada, right? So let's look Tupperware. Tupperware, how do you spell Tupperware? Tupperware. I'm not sure, okay, I haven't done any of this, but let's just take a peek, okay? Let's look what's the same exact keyword goes for in the Canada market, right? And that's what I suggest you do. Do this for the products that were too competitive, or just start research from scratch. Try these markets. Try Canada, try UK, try Germany, try Mexico, okay? So let's look over here. Revenue, it's still kind of loading, so let's give it some time. But I just want to compare the revenue and the reviews, okay? Because we're looking for lower reviews and still enough revenue for it to make sense, right? So revenue here isn't too terrible. Like, even if we can get around, I like to go for markets that are 5,000 or above, but maybe internationally it's so low risk and it's so easy to rank to the top because no one's really doing it, that maybe if you sell around the like 3,500, you'll still get good profits. And if you can rank easily with many products, then perhaps all of that compounds and adds up and you can make serious money, right? Let's look at the reviews. Reviews are so much lower, like it doesn't even compare. Look at this right here. Reviews are like literally in the high hundreds and most of them are in the thousands. In Canada, they're literally all under 100 pretty much, except for a few people. Granted, the revenue is much lower too, but then just think about this. It's going to be much easier to rank and to get to the top. That's just something to consider, right? And consider like there are language barriers, of course, with certain markets such as Mexico and Germany, obviously anything in Europe where they don't speak English, and you're gonna have to get a translator and everything else, but that's not too bad for the price that you're paying. You're gonna get good at it, right? You can find a local that speaks the same language and just make sure that it's optimized for the customer. It's more barriers that you have to overcome, but think about it, no one else is trying to overcome those barriers, and if you are the one to do it, you will capitalize on it. And you just have to catch trends before they really expand, because if it's going up on a little incline and if it's right here about to boom, and you're going to be one of the first people that gets into a market, you can dominate a niche. And some niches, like, I'm not saying all of their revenues are low. Check out all the markets, check out all of them out. Maybe one product does well in one market and then doesn't do so well in the other market. I'm not saying that like Germany is better than everything else. I'm saying it's all relative depending on the niche, depending on the culture. Maybe one culture needs a product more. You don't know until you do the research. And Helium 10 actually allows you to search in international markets as well. Maybe I'll make an in-depth video about that later, but you can do that. So again, use my coupon code if you haven't. It can help you out if you're doing product research internationally, but it's just a really cool concept, and I think you really should look into it, especially if you are kind of going it with a low risk mentality and like ordering lower MOQ, which is what I teach all my students to do into my Into a Milli program. So just really consider that. What else was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. I hope it wasn't an important thought. Shoot. Oh, so annoying. Okay, I think this is what I was gonna say. I was gonna say that not all markets are low revenue in those other countries. I have found markets that were doing around 10K average with really, really low reviews. So it's just, there's so much opportunity. And I really encourage you to take a look. Oh, I remember. Yes, I remember what I was gonna say. This is what I was gonna say. So there's a few regulations, right? Depending on the country, like the UK, you have to pay VAT, tax, things like that, like translational issues. But if you research them and know what they are, it's just a few extra steps. It's not like it's anything crazy and beyond what you would have to done. Oh my gosh, what you would have had to do if you were in the US. So just really consider that. Anyways, don't forget to download your sheet below. It's gonna help you. Like and subscribe because I do videos very frequently here, okay? I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.